Ladies and gentlemen, all the participants, I'm a 2020 undergraduate from the Law School of Southeast University in Nanjing, China. My name is Yenan. It's my honor to have been invited to speak at this conference. The topic of my presentation is analysis of the administrative guidance function in the enterprise compliance. So, what exactly is the meaning of this theme? From what aspect will we expand and answer it? Enterprise administrative compliance, administrative guidance, compliance practice, fundamental analysis. As I have listed on the page, these keywords will run through the whole presentation. There are four main aspects to this topic. Firstly, analysis of the guiding theory. Secondly, current situation and disadvantages. Thirdly, analysis of the crux of the difficult implementation. Finally, enterprise compliance and administrative guidance defect solutions. Well, let's move on to the first part of this topic, analysis of the guiding theory of enterprise compliance administration. Enterprise administrative compliance limits enterprise compliance to avoid or reduce illegal management suspected and used in the way of corporate governance to reduce to administrative responsibilities. The old thinking of administrative punishment, such as low priority and legal reservation, has brought the dilemma of law abiding. The new administrative compliance replaces the rigid post-punishment with the substantive of the front level, providing reasonable and correct guarantees for the development of enterprises. Administrative guidance is mostly used in the field of flexibility in the government administrative acts, different from compressive measures such as punishment. Administrative guidance pursues the consent of counterparts, adopts suggestions, demonstrations, norms, and other behaviors, has non-mandatory and positive administrative attributes, and produces legal consequences with indirect incentives. Now, let's turn our attention to the second part, current situations and disadvantages of enterprises compliance administrative guidance. Here, I use some typical examples to explain current situation of enterprise compliance administrative guidance. The list of enterprise administrative compliance guidance is an important means of administrative guidance in the field of enterprise administrative compliance. It lists compliance matters, illegal performance, legal basic, legal responsibilities, compliance suggestions, guidance departments, and so on, providing guidelines for prevention and avoidance in advance. Since the full implementation of the list system in Zhangjiagang City and the release by Suzhou City of the first guidance list covering city and country level, the pilot work of the list has been implemented in many places, but the terms are empty. Most of the terms are simple negative of the illegal behavior and the legal basic for the compliance direction. The compliance guidance on enterprise administrative punishment is an additional product of administrative punishment, which means the administrative introduction issued by the administrative organ when investigating and punishing illegal enterprises. However, the administrative introductions are only written options, and the consequences are blank. Without compliance acceptance systems, it's impossible to know the compliance effectiveness of enterprises. The enterprise compliance management guidelines favor administrative compliance management in a strict sense. In sense, they can still be regarded as administrative guidance for enterprises to establish or improve the compliance management system. Following the issuance of the guidelines on compliance management of central enterprises in 2018. However, both general guidelines for comprehensive risks and specialized guidelines for specific industries are faced with broad forms, and paper compliance lacks operational effectiveness. Disadvantages of enterprise compliance and administrative guidance can be divided into three aspects. Non-mandatory trap. The non-mandatory nature of enterprise administrative compliance guidance means that it has the same flexibility that is different from the mandatory behavior, but the violation without facts indicates the two-way hidden danger of falling into non-mandatory trap. On the one hand, the government controls the overall market, and the resources and energy allocated to the administrative compliance are limited, and the administrative guidance affects the rights and obligations on the other hand. The enterprise compliance guidance does not deny the attitude, and the rules do not fail to follow or follow the form because the forms lack of incentive mechanism. The implementation of guidance relies on the cooperation of enterprises. Therefore, incentive mechanisms and policy should and need to be set up. The lack of incentive mechanisms and the hidden disappearance of policy lead to the lack of administrative compliance of enterprises, which is an attractive sign of the insight and acceptance of administrative counterparts. The long-term development and operating profits are out of balance in the market economy. The short-term benefits of expansion are in line with the characteristics of profit making. Lack of tracking and supporting system. Administrative guidance to paper policy compliance leaked compliance guidelines after the guidance document issued by the administrative organ. Compliance guidance work is temporary. Violations of the results of the construction of the enterprise cannot directly reflect and lack of acceptance feedback and supervision channels. In the enterprise compliance guidance on the basis of non-mandatory backing, and it's difficult to guarantee the quality. The third part is analysis of the crack of the difficult implementation of enterprise compliance administrative guidance. Administrative guidance contains necessary and voluntary requirements for the guiding acts done by administrative organs, and the three principles of administrative guidance: legitimacy, necessity, and voluntary, which is the difficult of implementation, the system in the field of enterprise compliance. The crack of the difficult to implement the principle of legitimacy, insufficient protection of trust interests. Justification is linked to the protection of the trust and interests of administrative counterparts. The principle of legitimacy is intended to make administrative guidance ensure the acceptable of administrative counterparts. The trust interest has the legitimacy of protection, but the administrative compliance guidance policy issued by the government is an optional advocacy measure, and the government cannot violate the behavior, and the guidance will not be punished. The crack of the difficult implementation of the necessity principle. The formulation of guidelines is vague. The principle of necessity means that the administrative subjects adopt administrative guidance for the subjective purpose of promoting the benefit and considering the input-output in the objective process. The pilot operations in various regions are blocked in the general direction, reflecting the dilemma of fundamental waste and document. The cost of public resources and the empty current situation of policy violates the principle of necessity. The crack of the principle of voluntary nature is difficult to implement. The policy is hidden and unknown. Administrative guidance is not a specific act that administrative organs expect to reduce an inevitable legal effect. The absence of national force makes it necessary to seek active cooperation. The fundamental purpose of compliance operation is the rapid development of operation and the establishment of a compliance control system will increase the operating cost of the enterprise and the immediate output. After analyzing the drawbacks, naturally, how to solve them becomes a problem. That is, enterprise compliance and administrative guidance defect solutions. The improvement direction of the enterprise compliance administrative guidance system introducing rigid standards to make up for soft administration, formulating guidance to ensure the guidance, constructing the incentive mechanism to guide enterprise to follow the unfied industry standard and enterprise-style spatial guidance, establish the third-party supervision and evaluation mechanism, check the compliance guidance operation, timely feedback, and provide non-interest investigations. The industry-style compliance guidance aims to refine the general enterprise compliance documents into formal standards close to industry policies, so as to realize the point-to-point process from typical local to overall promotion. According to the existing financial securities guidance example, the government should establish the characteristics of compliance standards with national authority documents to establish a model and complete the package to roll pattern gradually. The enterprise-style spatial guidance plan can be compared to the spatial compliance plan in enterprise criminal compliance. It transforms the administrative compliance guidance into spatial compliance guidance and urge enterprises to establish spatial guidance plan based on their characteristics. The plan mainly focused on the internal management, including the basic compliance elements and the same specialized compliance elements. The administrative guidance system of enterprise compliance not only involves the administrative organs and the counterparts, but also involves huge public influence and public recognition. The third party surveillance and management is necessary to introduce. The third party should cooperate with government departments or to be determined by the administrative authority. It should empower the third-party evaluation subject, clarify the independence of authority, and control the authority outside the administrative power to consolidate the acceptance and objective evaluation without enterprise. That brings me to the end of my presentation. We can draw the following conclusions. Non-mandatory flexible guidance makes the compliance guidance must be equipped with incentive dividend to guide enterprises to participate, and the check and feedback mechanism must be constructed to ensure the implementation of the guidance. The violations of the basic principles of administrative guidance create the superficial results of compliance guidance. Hence, the implementation of the enterprise compliance administrative guidance system should be completed. The guidance to formulate norms and practical operation system. These are some references for relevant research. If you think of other questions, send me an email. Thank you all for coming and listening today.